Thanksgiving week. How are we all doing on this Monday in New York City? Evan and Tiki on a fan. There's a ton to get to. We have an update on the Jets' search for a GM and head coach, how they may be looking into the past to get there, all the fallout from things that were said after yesterday's Giants game, including Malik Neighbors. But Tiki, I ask you this because I'm just a guy. I'm just a dude like everybody else that sat in front of my TV on a Sunday afternoon watching a football game. And here's how I interpreted what I saw yesterday. And you tell me if you agree, disagree, I'm an idiot. That looked like a team that didn't want to play football on a Sunday afternoon. That looked like a team that, I hate to use the Q word, but it looked like a team that quit. It looked like a team that was so angry about the Daniel Jones cutting or benching that they didn't want to play football. And what we witnessed was a sheer embarrassment, especially for those that trekked their way to MetLife Stadium. Am I crazy?
Well, I mean, to me, it looked like a team that was distracted. It looked like a team that, first of all, on the first drive, defensively, they couldn't get off the field. Tampa Bay Buccaneers just marched down, and it took 8.5 minutes, or however long it took. But it was interesting because I was just, in the break, Andrew and Jason and I were talking, and I said, they just made Tommy DeVito's re-entrance into this starting lineup extraordinarily difficult.
No doubt.
It made it 5 times more difficult because the last thing you can afford is to go 3 and out. Or is to get knocked off the field quickly and give them the ball right back, especially after the defense was on the field for 8.5 minutes. And so, obviously, we know it happened, and the Giants, from that point on, never really recovered. So, I'm not going to make excuses for this team because it is your responsibility as players in this league to get yourself ready to play regardless of what's going on around your team, in your clubhouse, with your coaching staff, whatever. But this was a highly distracted week. I can't even, when I'm thinking about what the Giants went through this week, it's hard to, focus on football. What were they talking about in that locker room? It wasn't, how do we take advantage of this Buccaneers porous secondary who have struggled for the last 4 weeks. It was, oh, man, I feel for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is still my number one. He's great. I don't understand what's going on. All the questions in the conversation was about Daniel Jones. It was about what's the future of this organization? What's Tommy DeVito's role going to be? It was so many things other than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were also desperate and focused in their bye week, whereas the Giants were very distracted in theirs. That was my immediate takeaway after leaving that game and calling that game. They didn't play like they have played for a lot of the season. Good football. Maybe it comes down to 4 or 5 plays in a game. You give up a big one here or there, but you play sound fundamental football. They didn't do that much at all.
They got their ass kicked in every aspect. They were bad at every aspect.
Right. Which is an anomaly to what they've done for most of this season.
It's an anomaly, but to me it looks so bad because you're coming out of a bye. Mm-hmm. You've got a coaching staff that made a quarterback change, and to play like that, that's the response? That's the response of a team that basically tuned out their coach or a team that's pissed off at the front office. And, here's the way I look at this, because I know some Giant fans are they're gonna pick their spots. They're going to blame Brian Daboll, they're going to blame Joe Shane, or they're going to blame the players. I think they're all a mess. I blame everybody. I think the excuse of the players being distracted over their friend being benched, I think that's soft as hell. Well, so I blame them.
It's not even that. It's just this team, this is one of the youngest, if maybe not the youngest team in the National Football League. And so these kids have never seen this. They don't know the business of the game. They don't know what it's like to get completely turned upside down on your head in the middle of a season and still have to go perform. They're not used to this. Mm-hmm. And so I could sit here and scream and yell and get upset and say, Dave sucks and these guys suck and they're soft and they quit and they always I understand why it happened. And so it just is what it is. And I feel bad for everyone, the organization, for John Mara and all of the Mara and the Tisch families, because that was embarrassing, man.
Yeah.
Tampa doesn't travel. You were getting Bucky chants in that stadium yesterday. That's Bucky Irvin, by the way, who was the running back for the other team.
Yeah.
Who was fantastic
we saw plenty of them
as a receiver.
Yeah.
And so, I feel bad for the players because that was embarrassing. When your boys call you after a game, most of them didn't make it from high school or college to the NFL, so they're peeping you out on Sunday. they're going to call you up after that game, and it's what conversation are you having? Hey man, at least you have next week, right? That's what it goes.
Oh, it was embarrassing, but what do we blame for the embarrassment? See, to me, it's everybody. Like
it's everybody and it's everything.
It's everybody and it's everything. And I thought of you while I was watching this game because I got to be honest with you. Anyone who sat there for 3 hours, whether you're at MetLife Stadium or you're at home, you're watching this game, you're disgusted, and your brain goes to a million different places. It goes to the place of, oh my God, this coach is done. It goes to the place of, oh my God, I want to blow up this roster. But my brain went to the place of Tiki warned us. That's where my brain went to. Tiki warned us because last year, when Sean and I and Loogie all screamed and yelled, they have to trade Saquon Barkley if they're not going to keep him, you warned us about something. Mm-hmm. You said, but what will it do to the locker room? And so my question is, especially after observing the garbage football we watched, and this is not an excuse, this is analyzing the situation. Did the handling of Daniel Jones, who was a leader in that room and respected in that room, did that cause this? Did eliminating a leader the way it all went down kind of lead to 30-7 and the fact that this team looked completely not ready or unwilling to play football?
Well, it subtracts the offensive captain. That's what it does. It subtracts the offensive captain. So who's doing it now? Is it Jermaine Aluminum?
I don't know.
Who's the captain? I mean, is it John Michael Schmidt? Is he a center? Is it Devin Singletary? All of these guys, by the way, have been there for less than a year.
Right.
Is it Malik Neighbors? Oh, wait, he's a rookie. It's not him.
He's got a lot to say, though.
Right? Is it Wando Robinson? Oh, well, he just started playing last year. Oh, wait, no. It's Jalen. No, he doesn't play at all. Who the hell is the captain of this offense right now?
Should be Darius Slayton.
Darius is a quiet kid. I love Darius. He's awesome. And I think he is one of those, I don't know, sage voices. I won't call him an old voice because he's not old, but he's the longest tenured voice. But he's not. If you know his personality, he's not like, hey man, let's rally around it. That's not him. Who is it? By nature, it's always the quarterback, but that's not Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito's in his second year as an undrafted free agent from Illinois vis-a-vis Syracuse, right? Who the hell is he?
So they have no leaders.
So
is that what we witnessed yesterday?
It felt like it. It felt like it was a rudderless ship for a lot of this game, and they come out in the second half, and it felt really good, man. It's like, all right, at least you got to drive together, and then for some reason you decide to go Wildcat. Like, what are you doing? Just run it, man. Stop thinking.
But you know what? Even after that, and I understand it's 23-0, but even after the ball's put on the ground, the defense, which is supposed to be their strength now,
gives up a 95-yard drive.
They went 95 yards. It really looked like a team that quit. And that sucks to say, man, because I wouldn't imagine that professionals, young guys, veteran guys making a lot of money, guys not making a lot of money. It's crazy to me that anybody would quit. But I think most of us, just regular football fans, which is what I am. I watched this, and that's what I saw. That's what I felt. And it was the first time where I was like, wow, they tuned this head coach out. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to figure out the why. Why did they tune him out? Was it the handling of Daniel Jones? Was it the handling of other things we're not seeing? Was it where they are in the standings? Was it the messaging? What the hell was it that caused that?
Yeah.
Because that is a mess.
The only thing you can do is second guess how you go about this. And if I was Dabes, I would have addressed the Daniel Jones thing immediately into the bye week.
100%. 100%. This lingered for a week, bro.
First day, second day. Tommy DeVito didn't know until Monday. He didn't know over the weekend. He was down in Fort Lauderdale on over the weekend. Everybody was away. Tommy didn't know on Sunday. He found out on Monday when everybody else did. And so it's a shock to inject into your work week. You have a bye week, which is you have a do-nothing week. Do it then. Do it the week where they had nothing to prepare for on Sunday.
Right.
Because now this becomes the talking point. This becomes what every media member wants to. Let the media exhaust it when there's no game.
You're right.
Instead, they exhausted it while there was a game.
And then Daniel gets cut when? On Friday?
Friday.
Think about, on Friday.
Yes.
They get the news that their beloved captain, say what you want about him as a player, but clearly he was loved in that locker room.
Yes,
you
he
have
was.
to wait till the Friday of a weekend game where he gets cut?
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree. See, there were two things went through my mind on the whole, how could they have done this better? Number one, you nailed it. Do it a week earlier. Here's the second one. We all knew Daniel Jones's contract. We all knew the injury guarantee. Back in August, we had the discussion. What if they're not good?
Mm-hmm.
What do they do with him? Are they going to bench him? We even had the discussion of would they bench him if they were in a race, in which you were like, no, they would never do that.
Nope.
Probably right. So I think back to that discussion and say, should they have just replaced him before this season started? Should they have, and I'm not saying draft a quarterback you don't believe in. I'm not suggesting that. But maybe they should have said, you know what? He's not our long-term answer. We have this injury guarantee that is likely to affect our decision-making. Why not just nip this in the butt during the offseason and move on from him?
Mm-hmm.
Take our medicine. It'll be a big cap bill this year and move the hell on and avoid this. Because this became a thing. Whether you like Daniel Jones or not, whether you guys out there like him or not, it doesn't even matter. That room liked him. And to me, it looked like that room was affected by the cloud of Daniel Jones, and they let that cloud linger way too long.
Yeah, no, it lingered into the game. And once it got into the game, it was over. And, I mean, hell, let's also give, just for a second, the Buccaneers needed to play a great game.
Sure.
At the beginning of the season, we asked Mike Evans this. Like, where do you guys feel you are right now? He said, 6 weeks ago, we thought we were one of the best teams in football. They beat the Philadelphia Eagles. They beat the Detroit Lions, right? They thought they were one of the best teams in football. Then they lose Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, maybe Chris Godwin for the year with a broken ankle, a dislocated ankle. Mike Evans luckily comes back because of the hamstring, and they've lost now 4 games in a row. But it's all still Aaron Boonham right in front of them. Seriously.
It's a Boonism.
Their game is their success, their season is all literally right in front of them.
Yeah.
So my point is, this game was an absolute necessity for them. On the road against an underperforming Giants team, they had to come out and dominate and do exactly what they did. So for a second, give them credit.
Sure.
The Giants didn't match that in any capacity.
Anyway.
In any capacity at all. And it looked it from start almost to finish.
The look that I can't get out of my head, and I'm not telling you guys as Giant fans that you need to name the play or honor the play or remember the play for the rest of time. That's up to you as fans. Some of my Jet brethren will never forget the butt fumble. I choose to think, it was just a random play and a blowout to the Patriots. It doesn't matter. To me, you guys had a play like that yesterday that I'm still thinking about because it was so weird and it was so symbolic. Symbolic? Is that a word? Symbolic. We'll go with that. So symbolic of the way yesterday looked. The look of not caring, the look of quitting, the look of getting destroyed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it was when Sean Tucker put the football on the ground on a 3rd and goal at the 1-yard line, and the ball sat there. And no Giant did a damn thing. It just sat there until Baker Mayfield, of all people,
Came out of nowhere,
put his body on the line, fell on that football, and it turned to a nice, easy 3 points to make it 10-0. That play could change the game. Now, I'm not saying the Giants are just going to drive 97 yards and score a touchdown, but you're about to force a red zone turnover. You know what those are? That's what the Giants do all the time. And as that ball sat there, I said to myself, man, I watch football every Sunday. How often have we ever seen a live ball sit there, just sitting there, to where I'm even screaming at the TV as an IFO, hey, pick it up, ball is loose, pick it up. And I know that play probably wasn't an effort thing. It was more a confusion thing.
Yeah.
You'd be better to describe that than me. But it just looked bad, and it fully described the football we saw yesterday.
Yeah, it really was. And it's not trying. It's just not being aware enough to do the little things right. And, I mean, this thing is kicking around. It hits Brian Burns' foot.
Yes.
And he doesn't react.
He doesn't even react. I don't know what the hell he's thinking. What did you just think hit your foot, Brian?
I don't know. Dexter Lawrence even. It's Dexter Lawrence. It's like right behind him, not paying attention. It's just, I don't know. It was, and by the way, 7-0 at that point.
It's a game.
It can change the game.
That's why that's the play that to me symbolizes them in every nutshell. Like, it's sitting right there. You have a chance to turn the game. And even though I agree with you, I don't think it was a lack of effort. It just looked bad. It's one of those things that looks worse than the reality of it. But the football's off Brian Burns' leg, and everyone's just standing there like, hey, what's going on?
Right. And
what are we doing?
And meanwhile, Baker Mayfield, who was hustling his ass off the entire game, that last run by Bucky Irving that was just stupid, cutting all the way across the field. And here comes Baker Mayfield, 50 yards downfield, making a block for him.
Yeah.
Right? That's want to. You can see want to, right? You can see who cared more about that game yesterday. And it was obvious. It was the Buccaneers. It's why they won 30-7. The Giants were distracted for whatever reason. Their minds weren't fully into it. The little minutia, the details that matter to winning and losing or playing well in a football game, because you can lose because you're not good enough. All those little details, they weren't there for the Giants. They were there for the Buccaneers.
Absolutely.
And it was glaringly obvious, the discrepancy between
And
the two.
that's why, fair or not, yesterday was the first step to this coach losing his job. I don't think he's a lock to lose his job. I disagree with the Giant fans who are going to call in today and say, fire him now or fire him after Thanksgiving. But what I would tell you is the same thing I've told you for weeks. If they don't win another game, they can write the script to how Brian Daboll will lose his job. Well, yesterday was chapter 1, and it was a big chapter, and it was a damning chapter. And if things don't turn and we see performances like that, then I don't give a damn what John Mara said a few weeks ago. He's a dead man walking. That was a big chapter in the book of Daboll.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I think the problem with yesterday, coming off the bye week, is the Daboll calling card is play close, Steeler-type losses, even the Cowboys earlier in the year. What happened yesterday was so unlike Brian Daboll teams, unless they're playing the Eagles, of course, where they are getting their ass kicked from the beginning on.
And let me give you a specific example of that. This is Joe Schoen 12 days ago. The Giants had not played a game until yesterday after Joe Schoen made these comments. This is what Joe Schoen said about his head coach.
Again, he's done a really good job of the guys are competing, keeping the locker room together. And again, we're in these games. We're in these games. We just got to find a way to finish it. That's 1-5 in one-score games.
Now, I didn't love hearing that 12 days ago, but you hear that now, and your answer is, well, that wasn't yesterday.
No, that was not a one-score game.
That was not a one-score game. The effort, the locker room. Look, I'm not in the locker room to know what's going on there, but the look of yesterday and then the comments coming out, which we'll play throughout this show, is not the sign of a strong locker room. It does not sound like everyone's on the same page, and that's concerning.
Yeah, the most important thing for me, because I can't pass judgment right now, because I feel like this week was a cluster. There was just so much going on, so much emotion. You guys heard me on Friday when I was talking about it. It was emotional after the Daniel Jones news that he was released, and not like a good for Daniel Jones. It was something just left you. Just felt it from every person I talked to. And this isn't about Daniel Jones being good or bad. It's just the reality that he was not there anymore. He was your captain. He was a friend to a lot of these guys. And there was just this empty feeling about the facility. And so you're going to play a game 2 days later? The timing was so bad.
And that's where they screwed this
100%.
up. 100%.
All
the way around.
The timing was horrendous. They should have made this decision and handled all of the, Daniel, what are you going to do? Okay, we'll release you in the bye week.
Yes.
Not in the game week.
And because it clearly something affected them.
It 100% affected this team this week.
We'll get to your calls next, 888-808-1019. We'll hear from Malik Neighbors, get Tiki's reaction to all the outspoken things Malik had to say after this game, and 2 play calls from this game that left me shaking my head. Evan and Tiki on the Fan live from the Town Fair Tire Studios.